We're still waiting for YouTube here. Almost there now. There. All right. Good morning and welcome to 5 Minutes or More with Pastor. It is Saturday, May the 9th. Saturday, May the 9th. And so excited to be here with you. Another bright, sunny, very warm day today. Today might for us get up to the 90s. Hey, Melissa. Good to see you. Good morning. I hope wherever you are, you can stay cool today. Aaron, good morning. Good to see many of you on. Just jumping on here this morning. I'm certainly getting a much later start than I normally would. Um, and there is a story behind that I will tell one day. This morning is not the morning for that story, but I will tell you one day. Good morning, Anita. Good to see some of you jumping on here. For the first time in almost 3 weeks, we are not in Psalm 23. We finished Psalm 23 yesterday, and we're moving on to Psalm 24. Again, this is 5 minutes or more with Pastor. I don't want to keep you too long. There's a lot really going on in Psalm 24. And so I admit this morning we're just barely going to be scratching the surface. But I want to remind you what we talked about a while back, weeks ago, that we kind of want to take Psalm 22, 23, and 24 in concert together. They're a grouping. If you go back and read Psalm 22, it's about Jesus' crucifixion on the cross, primarily. On Psalm 23, it's about the resurrected powerful shepherd, right? He can now walk us through the valley of the shadow of death. Why? Because he's been there before. He knows everything. He knows all of the twists and turns and everything that's there and where we're headed, and he can guide us through that because he's been there. Psalm 22 tells us that. Psalm 23, he's a resurrected, powerful Savior, shepherd, and then 24 deals with Jesus in glory. The glorified Savior and Shepherd. And I want us to read verse 24, chapter 24. It's 10 verses. It says this. It says, "The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell in it. For he hath founded it upon the seas, and established it upon the floods." Verse 3 then says, "Who shall ascend into the hill of the Lord? Or who shall stand in his holy place?" Um, really the psalmist comes in with this question about who's able to stand in the presence of the Lord, who can stand in the glory of the Lord, who can exist in heaven, who can be in his presence all the time. And the answer comes in verse 4 and going on. It says he that hath clean hands and a pure heart, who hath not lifted up his soul unto vanity, nor sworn deceitfully. He shall receive the blessing from the Lord, and righteousness from the God of his salvation. This is the generation of them that seek him, that seek thy face, O Jacob, Selah. And so we're laid out this person who can be in the presence of the Lord. Basically, it's a righteous person. This is the person who has clean hands, or in other words, their actions have been pure, and they have a pure heart, or their inner attitude is right. That is the person. This righteous person can be in the presence of the Lord. And without reading too much into it, after speaking about the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof and all that's in there, verse 7, it says, "Lift up your heads, O ye gates, and be lift up, ye everlasting doors." In order for those things to be lifted up, it actually holds the idea of somebody sagging, or somebody pouting, almost as if to, once they hear who it is that can approach the Lord, or who it is that can be in his presence, they think, man, there's nobody that can meet up to that. And it says this, it says, "The King of glory shall come in." Who is the King of glory? The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. "Lift up your heads, O ye gates, even lift them up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in." Who is the King of glory? The Lord of hosts. He is the King of glory. I've shared this story before, but I can remember when I was a little kid, and we were in the airport where my mom worked, and there's a big documentary going on right now about Michael Jordan. We remember watching Michael Jordan as a young kid come walking towards us in the airport, and he had a security guard with him that wasn't letting anybody near him. And my older siblings, who knew better who he was even than I did at that time, didn't want to approach him. And I thought, oh, I'll go talk to him. And I walked up to him, and the security guard said, no, 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 no. Michael Jordan put his hand on his shoulder and said, that's okay. And I approached him at that moment and got his autograph, and it was really a cool moment. And my siblings were excited for me because they were like, man, there's no way I could approach him. He's got that bodyguard. That's Michael Jordan. He's the most famous person in the world. Michael Jordan is awesome. He's great. Even I would say the best basketball player at all time. There was a time where he was probably the most well-known human in the world. But Michael Jordan is nothing compared to God. Nothing. Nothing. And the Bible asks, who can approach him? It's not some little kid that doesn't know who he is. It's who can be there. That they must be righteous. And the only person who fits that bill to approach God is the King of Glory. He has pure actions. He has a pure inner attitude. And so the psalmist says, lift up your heads. Again, it appeared that they had been sagging because no one could enter in. But then he says, no, no, the King of Glory is coming. There is one who is coming who is worthy to stand in that holy place. And praise comes for the one. Notice what it says. In verse 8, it says, who is the King of Glory? The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. It says, the King of Glory shall come in. He is basically saying, if you wanted to word this another way, the psalmist is saying, the King who is fresh from battle, having been victorious, is ready to come in. This is the one who can enter the city. And that's who Jesus is. The one fresh from battle, the battle over sin, death, and the grave. He has come victorious, and he's going to enter into the presence of God. And really, it wasn't until Jesus coming and his work on the cross, his death, burial, and resurrection, that this ancient poem became clear to many of its readers. But the psalmist says, basically, let us praise the coming King. And here's the reason why. Because the coming King, Jesus, paves the way for me to be able to enter in. You see, the coming King who's mighty in battle, who's defeated sin, death, and the grave, doesn't just do it for himself so that he can enter in. He does it so that I can enter in. Remember, it's got to be somebody. And the Bible tells us who has a pure heart, and who hath not lifted up his soul in vanity, nor sworn deceitfully. The only person who can ever completely meet those things is Jesus. But when he died on the cross and he took on my sin, he robed me in his righteousness. And now I can enter in. Not only can I lift up my head because we have one that can enter into the city, the King of Glory, this victorious King, but he's brought me along with him. And I can enter in with him as well. And so I hope that encourages your heart this morning to remember that the King of Glory, the one who is mighty and victorious in battle, is our King, but he doesn't enter into the glories of heaven without us. He brings us along. And what an encouragement that is. And for us to remember and to share with other people this morning, to know that shepherd that died for us on the cross, that shepherd that leads us through the valley of the shadow of death, prepares a table before us, also enters this celestial kingdom, his kingdom. And he invites us to come in with him. And if you've never accepted Jesus Christ as your Savior, I hope you will. And he invites you to come. We're actually going to look at that this coming Sunday, the invitation to come. It's all throughout the Bible. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden. The bride and the Spirit say, come. And we're going to look at all of those tomorrow. If you don't have a church service that you watch somewhere, we'd love for you to join us here on our Facebook page or on YouTube for Mother's Day. We're going to celebrate Mother's Day and also take a look at continuing our sermon series, Jesus Is. Thank you for joining in this morning. Hope you had a great day. Hope you continue to have a great day. And we will talk to you guys later.